Did you know there are some major changes coming to the Bay Area when it comes to solar and PG&E that could save you hundreds of thousands of dollars? Well, stay tuned, and we're going to talk about these upcoming changes that are going to impact the solar program with PG&E, what it means for you, and what you can do about it. Hey guys, welcome to another video of Living in the Bay Area, and today I am super thrilled to have Kyle Wade with me. Now, Kyle is an experienced solar consultant, sales professional, and solar recruiter. Kyle is a multiple award-winning solar sales professional with over 32 years of sales experience. He's a district manager for Solar Energy Partners, heading up a team of 30 individuals. And he and his team bring just an extraordinary commitment to service and excellence. So Kyle, just with that, I wanted to say welcome to my channel.
Thank you.
Excited to do a one-on-one with you today for those homeowners watching in the Bay Area, because, you know, as you and I both know, there's some significant changes coming to solar here in the Bay.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for your time. It's always good to spend time with you, and I love to be a resource for people and help them navigate what they don't really know. You know, we hear solar, but there's a lot to it, and it's pretty simple. There's good stuff, bad stuff, and I think we're going to run through that in the questions.
Oh, absolutely. So let's start with this. So net energy metering, like what's changing is we're going to NEM 3.0. So let's start off with like, what is NEM 3.0? What is it all about, and when is it taking effect?
Well, I'm going to back us up to net energy metering 1 and walk through to where we're headed. So in net, we call it NEM, net energy metering. NEM 1 changed. It was in effect all the way until November of 2016. And what was happening back then was you could build as big of a system as you wanted. And if you generated any extra energy, whatever PG&E's retail rate was at that current time of year, or, you know, where they were at, they would give you that much credit. So let's say it was 26 cents a kilowatt hour and you generated, 5,000 extra, you were going to get 26 cents for every kilowatt hour that you generated extra. And what they realized was people were building about 200% of their usage, and they were getting free energy, and they were making money on PG&E. And we know PG&E is, I like to use the word, they're a monopoly, and they didn't like other people taking advantage of the system. So what they did in NEM 2 was they reduced the size that a homeowner could put extra on their house, and they also reduced what they were paying. So they cut it down to about 4 cents a kilowatt. So if any homeowner today looks at what they're paying an average of 32 to 38 cents per kilowatt hour. And if you're a solar customer and you're generating extra, they're only giving you credit for 4 cents. What's going to change in April is it's a huge change for PG&E customers, but it's not a huge change in the state. So I want people to be clear. This isn't something that we haven't already dealt with. There are a number of municipalities that are separate from PG&E in Northern California, especially, that are already on a similar rate structure to what net metering 3 is going to be. So right now with net metering 2, for every kilowatt hour you push, you can get one back at equal value. They're dollar for dollar or penny for penny. They're equal. What they're going to do come April 14th is any new solar customers. So I don't want anyone who has solar right now to be concerned. Anyone new that signs an agreement after around the middle of April will more than likely end up in net metering 3. What that means is for every 4 kilowatts you push to PG&E, you get credit for 1 back. They're doing a 75% reduction. So they're only crediting 25%. What that's going to encourage, and what I've been really working with homeowners on today is if you have a battery and you use battery power that you've stored on your house in the evening, instead of pulling from PG&E when the sun goes down, you're actually not going to be affected by that 75-25 rule. You'll be pulling from battery power that you've stored. That's the plus. The minus is you're going to spend a few extra dollars to get a battery and have a battery. The plus there is if you lose power, or if PG&E's power goes down, then you're going to have your own battery backup. Right now, the percentage of people who have batteries is very low. And I believe if we were talking 365 days from today, the number of people that have batteries especially with new systems, is going to be 90% or more. So
Okay.
that's the net metering change. It's changing. I've been working with it in some other municipalities that are just in the Central Valley, just over the Altamont from us. They're already on a net metering 3. We just build the systems a little differently to offset it.
Okay. And it's interesting. And I appreciate you kind of giving us the background going from 1 to 2 to now 3.0.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of curious, how long did it take PG&E to catch on from going, that made them want to change from going from 1.0 to 2.0
One to
and now to
two, it
3.0?
was a lot of years because
Okay.
I live in Santa Cruz County. In Santa Cruz County, I know people who have had solar for 30 years. So it was good 20 plus years before they went from 1 to 2.
Okay.
Part of it we also need to look at is you always have early adopters in anything. I always talk about online shopping. Think about back when we started to shop online, we were afraid to put our credit cards online. And then today we have them stored online. They're in our phone,
Yep.
they're everywhere. So once a certain amount of people adopt any habit or new way of doing things, once you have 5 or 10% of the people, the masses doing it, the other 90 come in the same amount of time. So
Mm-hmm.
with the where we're at with solar, we're less than 20% of the state of California has solar, and there is a goal for 50% to be by 2025, 50% of the households to have solar. We're not even close. We're at 18, not even 20% with residential solar right now. Now there's a huge change coming. Every year it accelerates, but that's where we're at with those two topics.
So, if I think about solar and the homeowners who want to have solar or already currently have solar, like how might these two different groups be impacted by this change of going to 3.0? Obviously, with new homeowners who want solar, they should get in before
Mhm.
April. Is that right?
Correct. And when you sign a net metering agreement, it's actually a 20-year agreement. So you have 20 years from date of signing it that you're locked in. PG&E can't touch you. So right now, it's just kind of been insane the last since the first of the year, and even a little before that. Everyone knows that if they get locked in now, and they don't have to have panels. This, to be clear, you don't have to be installed. You have to be in progress of the project. So you basically just have to have the paperwork done before the deadline, and then you're locked in for 20 years. The other
Okay.
thing I've learned in the last week is that anybody that's in net metering 2, and this is for the realtors to pay attention to, and everyone else, the home buyers and home sellers, if you buy a house that already has net metering 2, and it changes and you change the PG&E account, it is not going to affect the net metering status. So a house that has 2 will stay in 2, even if you buy it after we're in 3. So that was something we've been working with and making sure that was the case. But that is a huge thing. So if someone put solar on their house today and sold it in a year, it's actually a selling point for the buyer that they're locked in for another 19 years. PG&E can't touch them. So
That's
something
awesome.
we were a little concerned about, and really got the attorneys that work for our company to dig deep into, and they have confirmed it is every house that's locked into NEM 2 will stay in NEM 2, even on a
That's
transfer.
awesome.
Yeah.
And thanks for sharing that, because
Yeah.
that's going to be
Little side
huge.
note.
Yeah, absolutely. And what about like for homeowners who currently have solar but want to upgrade their system? Like, is that something that's impacted by this NEM 3.0 change?
Great question. So I call that an add-on system. So say somebody got it, they got solar, and then now they bought an EV, or they have an EV on order. They know they're going to use more. They want to get their add-on system in progress before April. If they don't, what will happen is their existing NEM 2 system will stay in NEM 2. Their new panels will go into NEM 3. So it's not going to take the whole system out of 2 into 3, but it would be advantageous if anybody has what I call a true up bill that's more than $1,000 a year. They want to reach out to me or to whoever did their solar. I'm not adverse. It's just whoever they're comfortable with, and get
Yeah.
the shortfall fixed, and it'll lock them in for another 20 years on that, what I would call an add-on system.
So that's really interesting. So so is it then PG&E, if I have an existing solar system and then let's say I add on a new one that goes to NEM 3.0, So then PG&E has the ability to be able to see like which system generated how much to be able to figure out like how much money I get back.
You would be, well, you're not getting money back. It's how much you're
Oh,
not
that's true.
paying
Yeah.
or
How much
whatever.
am I
But
not paying? Yeah. Yeah.
that magic smart meter that they came up with,
Mm-hmm.
I make a joke, and I have to share this. I make a joke. It's that when I'm talking to people, I say the reason they put that smart meter on your house was two reasons. One, so you can put solar on your house, but two, so your dog the wouldn't eat the meter reader, because the meter readers. And I don't know if anyone else ever knew, but the meter readers carried that stick with a tennis ball on it, and the tennis ball was for the dogs. So
Oh,
I always thought it
that's
was to
hilarious. I
clean
didn't
the
know that.
meter with, and
Yeah.
not to clean that. So that's where we're at. And my landline's blowing up. Sorry, guys. Go ahead.
No, it's all good. Okay, no, so that's kind of cool to kind of learn about.
Yeah.
And then I guess my other question is, so for homeowners who are interested in getting solar systems,
Mhm.
like what types of homes can get solar installed? Like obviously I feel like single families, and you and I have talked about
Mhm.
townhomes, but what about townhome style condos or condos? Like can they also get solar systems installed?
They can. So the first thing is they have to own the home. So renters
Okay.
are going to not qualify. They own the home,
Right.
and then the other kind of gray area is if you have a person that lives above another person. So if you have an over under type of situation, say you live on the bottom floor and people do live above you, there's a challenge putting solar on that particular residence, because if
Okay.
you use the whole space and they want solar, you have used their space. So it gets a little it gets a little tough there, and you just have to kind of look at every situation is a little different. I have done lots of townhouses that they are over and under, meaning they own the top and bottom floor. We just have to make
Yeah.
sure we stay within the confines of their walls. I do
Okay.
that all the time. Triplexes, duplexes, we do it all the time.
Okay.
But yeah, single family home. There's a lot there. We can yeah we there it every case is different. There's no. It's just like a realtor that's been in the industry for a long time. You don't have two houses that are the same. So
Right.
every case
Yeah.
has a specific. I'm happy to look at anything for anyone on it.
And but the cool thing is, yeah, like you have so many years of experience that you can kind of assess each situation and kind of help the person who's in that situation work through it if it's possible,
Yeah,
right? I know
absolutely.
you and I have talked about like with like new construction communities, a lot of times you have to deal with the HOA because if they haven't already gotten approval for solar systems to be added, you kind of have to work through that process as well. But that's something that you guys have done in the past as well, right?
Yeah, we have a whole department that handles the HOA stuff. That's all they do. And there's a federal law that is written that HOAs cannot prevent a homeowner from putting solar on their house. So
Okay.
their back is against the wall. The homeowner's back is not against the wall. They can make it hard.
Okay.
I've dealt with some
Yeah.
HOAs that have some really old bylaws, and I have actually helped some HOAs rewrite their bylaws because they were
Oh, cool.
antiquated and you know I think they were before internet type of bylaws. So
Wow. Okay.
anyway, but yeah, HOAs are easy. It's just another step in the process, and it's not something a homeowner has to handle. It is actually something that we take the lead on. Oftentimes, a homeowner will have to sign a document or two, but the
Yeah.
majority of that heavy lifting is done internally with our company.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. So the other thing I wanted to ask you about was just the solar systems themselves,
Mhm.
because I go around, I like go shopping and whatnot, and I always see like different
Mhm.
advertisements from various companies that do solar systems.
Yep.
So can you kind of get into that a little bit, just at a high level? Like, what are the differences in different types of solar systems?
Well, it's interesting. Really, so there's how they're mounted, and that's more of like what I would call the visual aspect of, if anyone watching this drives around and looks at 10 different houses in 10 different neighborhoods. If you look at it in the same neighborhood, a lot of times the same company will have installed in there. But if you look at
Yeah.
10 different solar systems, you're going to see 10 different ways they were mounted, or
Okay.
visual ways they were mounted. They might be higher, they might be lower. The panels might be all black, or they might look like checkerboards and they have silver and stuff in them. So there's the aspect of how the mounting is done, and that's something that we pride ourselves on is we have a very low to the deck, trimmed, visually appealing install. But get away from install, let's say the function of how the panel works. So you have 20 panels on a roof. They're all interconnected in a certain way. And there's only two ways that they're interconnected. One is like a string, is what I call a string. And it's just think of a chain. And if of those 20 panels, if panel number 10 stops working, panel 11 through 20 stop working also because there's a break in the chain. Yeah. Now, I also like to use other analogies. And if you think about if you're driving a newer car that tells you when the tires are low because you have a tire pressure monitor, our systems are built similar to that. Every panel has a monitor on it. It's called an inverter. They're individual inverters on every panel. And you can see that panel number 10 is not working, but everything else is working. And that's how our warranty company actually knows what to fix, what's not working. And it's set up for my roof. It's set up just like many people have a camera doorbell, tells you someone's at the front door. If anything goes on my roof, it tells me there's a system error immediately. So it's not like I have to look for it or I have to watch it or it's one more thing I have to pay attention to. It just pops up, says system error. So there's string inverters and there's microinverters. And the only systems that we will install are microinverters. They're not more money. Amazing. They're more efficient and they're much more user-friendly for the homeowner because the homeowner can see exactly what every panel's doing at real time on their own roof.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's very cool. No, so my background's in electrical engineering, so I geek out when you say stuff like that because I'm thinking like, the analogy I would use would be like Christmas lights that are in like series, right?
Yep.
If you have one go out, you pretty much don't know. You're going to have to replace all those light bulbs because you have no idea which one actually caused it to go out.
That's what the string inverters are like. Exactly. If you lose one, you lose all of them. And the microinverters are the way to go. And there's a lot of difference. You'll see a lot of difference in warranties too. And there's warranties that cover the equipment. And then there's also companies and the main company that I work with, because most people don't want to spend a bunch of money on putting solar on their roof. They're not out of pocket. And so what I teach, and I don't know if it's later in your questions, but since we're here, we'll handle it.
Yeah,
is
absolutely.
Basically just what I call a bill swap. You're paying $250 to PG&E on an average every month, and you can stop for energy, for electric only. We're not talking natural gas. We haven't figured out those panels yet. Mm-hmm. But reducing what you're paying for energy 30, 40%, and then locking that rate in, and it doesn't go up because PG&E will have a rate increase of 18% this year.
Wow. And
there's no end in sight. It went up 12% last year. It's going to go up 18 guaranteed this year. It's already gone up in everybody's January bill. If they look at December and January, they'll see the price increase right there. But we have a warranty that will actually guarantee production too. So there's a lot of pieces, but back to the way that we do it. I just call it a bill swap. You're not putting $1 out. We actually do the entire project. We do the design, the permitting, the install, everything happens. Once we get the final with the city or county, then you make your first payment. And your first payment is typically less than you're paying to PG&E unless you add a battery or, other stuff. That's all different stuff. But my goal isn't to sit down with somebody and say, okay, it's $45,000. Would you like to write a check for that? Or you can, it's like, we just make it as easy as possible,
That's awesome. And you bring up an incredibly interesting point with the PG&E rate increase, because like for myself personally, I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that probably fall into this situation. I'm on Autopay with PG&E. And so like, now that you bring that up, I feel like I should go back and check my PG&E bill, because typically I'm just like, okay, I'll just put it on auto bill, set it and forget it.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I'm sure a lot of people out there like me probably wouldn't even have realized my PG&E bill went up unless it like spiked to some crazy amount.
So you can go all the way back into 2022 and look, and I believe the rate increase happened in March. It happened in June or July, and it also happened in October. And it's pennies. Okay. I'll take a side tangent because you just opened the door for me. 3 years ago, PG&E made a huge 12% rate increase 1 month.
Wow.
Everybody called PG&E and said something's wrong with my bill. And PG&E had to fight these phone calls for 3 days
I bet. Yeah.
24 hours a day, their phone was ringing, and they spent hundreds of thousands of dollars in employee time to handle this rate increase and answering all the questions. Then somebody internal got smart and said, "Hey, why don't we just raise it 3 cents?" And the number of people that'll catch that is very little. So they'll raise it 3 cents in January, they'll raise it 3 cents in March, 3 cents in June or July, and then 3 cents in October. And people typically won't catch 3 cents, but they will catch it if it goes up 8 or 9 cents in 1 month.
Well, I appreciate you calling that out, and I will thank you on behalf of everyone that watches this video, because you probably just saved them a whole a whole ton of you just helped inform them, and now
Yeah,
they can go check it out,
exactly.
which is awesome. So a couple more questions, like with these changes that are coming, and we talked about, like if they have an existing system, they'll stay on 2.0. If they add a new system, they'll go to 3.0.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how far out should somebody plan in terms of capacity for their solar needs to make sure they can kind of take advantage and still be on this 2.0 plan?
That's an incredible question, and that's part of my process when I'm talking to someone. I ask them, when I don't say, "Are you getting an electric car?" I say, "When are you getting an electric car?" Every house is going to be able to handle a certain number of panels. Not every roof plane on a house is good production. But the way I do designs is actually very interactive. It's with the customer. We actually lay the panels out. I don't just come in with a design and drop it on the table and say, "That's what we can do." We do it together, kind of building blocks. And a lot of times I will often build a system 30, 40% more than they're using today. So I will look at my method of madness of how I look at people's usage is I don't look at the last 12 months. I look at 2009. Currently, if we're doing it today, this could change a year from now, but I'll look at 2019 and I'll look at 2020 when there was lockdown and a lot of people were home, and then 21 and 22. And I'll get all 4 of those years of usage, and then we'll start from there. So we don't just take 1 month and kind of calc it out from there. We look at all of the data that's available, and in everybody's PG&E login online, if they've lived in their house since 2012 or 13, every month is available for the last 10 years. If they moved in 2 years ago, we're going to have it from the day they moved in. But all the data is at our fingertips, and we can get that and do good volume or good work. But every case is going to be different. I always build it bigger than 100%.
Okay.
Because people tend to use more when they have more. I've been doing this long enough. I've watched people, I build a system and they use 10, 15% more than they did before, because they'll leave a light on and be halfway down the street and go, we got solar, it's okay. Or the other offenders are the people who live in hot areas with AC, and they typically run it at 77 or 78 degrees. Then they get solar and they go, we can run it at 72. Well, the difference between 72 and 78 over a summer, it's a lot of kilowatt hours. So, got to prior. I learned a long time ago, prior planning prevents poor performance.
I like that. That's a very good.
That's how I look at it. I'd much rather plan for it. You got to learn from your past.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's cool because it sounds like you're very involved in terms of your role in helping someone with the design process, getting set up with solar. Who are like some of the other players that would be involved when it comes to installing a solar system?
That are working with, like, in my process?
Yeah, that you would work with.
So my process is working with the homeowner, getting the design right, getting all that stuff, getting all the docs signed, and then I actually manage the project all the way through. So I'm working directly with the installer. I'm working directly with the inspectors. I'm working with the city or county. I mean, my hands are in it, because for me, the experience from start to finish is what I have control over. So I am every part of the way. Typically, if you and I were working on a project, we get the paperwork done, and then the designs comes back, and I have access to the design we send to the city or county. I would send you a copy of your plan set and say, "Hey, I want you to have this for your records." Now, that's not the stamped set or finished. We have access to that, but I keep you in the process. I let you know, we just got the permit back. And then you and I would communicate with the installer about what date they're going to install. And I'm typically there day of install. The other thing that I have a little bit of control over is which crew actually touches your house.
Oh, okay.
So I look at, we've all had, say a service person come to our house, whether it's a cable guy or something, and you get one who's really good and you're like, wow, you kind of get spoiled, and you call for another one, and, call another time and you get a guy that's not anywhere near that other guy and you wish you had the other guy. So I'm really selective about the crews. We have really good crews. There's some crews I like better than others, and it could depend on the roof. If it's a tile roof or a comp roof, there's certain crews that I know are better, that just do their stuff. And the customer's experience to me is the most important thing.
And I think that's really reassuring to hear, because just like in real estate, if someone's going to trust me to work on a transaction, they want to know that I'm there with them from beginning to end. And I think that's awesome that you do the exact same thing with your clients.
That's how I do it. I've had the same phone number for 34 years. It's not changing. Nice. Lived in the same house since 1997. I'm in the phone book, that one of those things we used to have. I'm listed. I'm not hiding from anyone. I am the project manager. You trusted me. I'm going to see it all the way through.
No, that's awesome. So I think we'll, on the topic of phone books and contacting. So if somebody wants to work with you or they're interested in getting started today with you, what's the best way for them to reach out to you, and when's the latest they need to get started?
It's only getting busier. Best way to reach out to me is phone or email. You can call me after 5. Don't worry about that. You can call me on Saturday. I will take your call. I will respond to emails promptly. I'm being told, let me check. There's a countdown. I have a countdown clock here. There's a countdown clock that one of our installers is saying we have X number of days to guarantee you're in net metering 2. And I thought it was 35 days. Let me double check that one more time. Sorry, I didn't have that screen open.
No, it's all
38 days, 1 hour, 29 minutes, and 14 seconds. There's your timer. And that's for them that's what they're saying that they can guarantee it. It's not a big deal. If we get the agreement written on April 10th, I don't know what the date is. I'm expecting that we would have all the documents in that we would need to get in. April 10th is a Monday. Yeah. So basically the 13th of April is the last day is what they're saying, but there's 2 steps. We do the agreement that's locking in your pricing and your design and stuff. And then we have to sign a second agreement that's with PG&E. And so I'm thinking the first week of April is guaranteed that we get you in net metering 2. Who knows?
Awesome. Yeah, to give you enough time to go through that design process, right?
And the design process is simple. I mean, if you called me right now and said, hey, here's my PG&E info, can I get a design? I can have the design, even today being a holiday. I can have the design in less than 20 minutes ready in a state where I'm ready to show you something. So it's not a big process. We're not waiting. I don't have a lot of people I need to wait for. I need to just submit certain information, and then I get a template back of your roof and I can build it out. No problem.
Okay, awesome. Well, Kyle, before we end, is there anything you want to still share with the audience that I haven't asked you about yet?
I think you covered everything. I think what I would end with is that my core of why I do what I do is to help other people. And I like helping people. I like helping people see things they can't see. And one of the things that I have found meeting with hundreds of homeowners is that their grandparents, their parents, and themselves have always moved into a house, called PG&E, got the PG&E into their thing, and then, okay, that checkbox is done, and we just go on with life. And they haven't really looked that they have options. And people have options today. There's no upfront cost. And they just want to make sure, whether they work with me or whoever they work with, they want to make sure that they're getting a 25-year warranty, they're getting some kind of production warranty, and that they're working with a person that they're confident with. And something I learned a long time ago is you meet a person and you have a feeling about them, like, would I go on vacation with this person? Yes. But we've all met people in life where, like, oh, there's just something about that person I didn't like. Pay attention to your gut feeling. If you're meeting with anyone on any topic, whether it's solar or buying a car, whatever it is, go with your gut feeling, go with your intuition, because all of us have said, oh, I should have, too many times. And don't be a should have on NEM 2. If you have, what I will say is, if you have looked at solar and not done it prior to now, and you're watching this now, not later. It's just now, not later. And I will help anyone that reaches out to me, and I will work the extra hours to make sure that I get everybody I can into NEM2. And if we're talking after April and we need to look at an NEM3 solution, I have that figured out already. It's not something I'm in the middle of trying to figure out how we're going to do it. We already have it. We have the solution. It's just going to cost a tiny bit more, but in the long run, when I sit down and I map out what the difference is between you being with PG&E for 25 years and you taking control of your own energy source, it's hundreds of thousands of dollars. It's multiple college tuitions for kids. I mean, it is life-changing money that people don't understand because of back to what their grandparents or parents and what they've been doing. They're just used to paying whatever PG&E says it's going to be, it's going to be. And that is not where we're at today. So,
well, I think that was the mic
there
drop
you go.
moment for you. So Kyle, I really appreciate you, man, for coming on and just sharing your insight and your knowledge with everyone in the Bay Area. And for those watching, I hope you found this incredibly valuable. And please, please, please reach out to Kyle if you're interested in getting a solar system, and get connected today, because there is a countdown going on.
Yeah.
So hope to see you all again, and hope you enjoyed this video. So we'll catch you again on the next one. Thanks.